When I was near ly 60 Eiffel seriously ill, my husband Kutov me medicalex ben sessen spentelisaving stomave me fierce loves graved at the besmetery. After making gall for joint burial he passed away. Thean lyra laqueza photo album fillet with photos of him and his first love. Hishiart never belonged him for a moment but I wasted nearly 50 years off my life in this marriage. After left me grandson blamed me. Grandma was menandrove grand pato death. My son treated meckledly. If it weren't for you, dad would have been reunited with his with our long time ago. You've the latest life. And as do want to drag us down. Nuni cared about me as I lady in gonthi hospital bed. And themed miskinal serate dindity down the street. When I opened at my asagani was reborn 40 years ago. My husband was still thinking about getting the marriage certificate so I packed my luggage and prepared to return to Beijing. Teresa snake. With a creo surprise at the people who are bending gover to planters looked up. A water snake in note of as thick as a little finger burrowed and tot hemmet. Illidi covered her hands with tears and her eyes. I was bitten. Is the snake poisonous? Blood was it from her fingertip sure legs. When tweakon shielmos fell and tothafiled. Careful. Istigjurid as a shoulder wash a thard. From the corner off me. Isa zane rush forward dan pick up a lodi bithawayest. His shuried footsteps gauze mudand water to splash. Iwas closest to hymen mid trouser legs were covered with spots. Sage. Am taking a diatothi hospital for treatment. You reverie skilled. Soya can take over the horshemist. Zane said without question. In his arms scolds wooded from melodious word and her temples were wet. Looking gather palaface Zane sees roof with Pitiandi hugged her tighter. He was sure that would agree and without waiting for Meyer Hadel read a step to toft hapati field. No hair work points don't count towards the shuchis for help. A healthy seedling sand planted them in the paddy field without looking up. Sage. A lodi isa member of Forgicate die out team. Wary fumulathadits from the same pot. Thedamly drofen set the twent hejicate douth went to the countryside. They should promotes Piratov mutual assistance. Zainar confidently clenched this fist and said, She's endured right now, on don tof de hell for beauty our resto fussing gabuti. Euratitude is imply corrupting themeralio forgicate diouth. Yalak ideological awareness. If I don't want meta reporty out a thedum leader. The noise of a slips moving wasam was the tight annoyed me. Me fingers felt some loose madond without thinking is meredit in his face. If you want to sue, then sue. If ever seen in yom putaneers when asking for help. Ipalet the backpack and led my eyes in annoyance. Your son obawadoyinivajid enough work point several time you were no tevenis gudesa woman like your Lizian guda talking. I feel enough. Go tell the captain and tell him about me. I can only bluff peepee and make people look down on. When thesi crisp words scamato light educate die out howery near be couldn't help but laugh. Everyone in the team knew that when work point swear accordi deisterday. Zane tried Toby cunning and trajit an extra work point. As a result, the scorekeeper clearly counted the seedling she had planted and deducted half a point from him. Zainless natan lehis y febudal so his sarmine became the laughing stock of tijicate die out center for thuhala night. Chapter zich. Zane gnashed his teeth. When I you had low blood sugar earlier. Illadiatun the initiative vitijavayukandi. I was a best-selling product in thesity. Bootshakald and biartot. Shagavai ujis because she's a ufandin doria lighter net a blind diator kindness. How funny. He'll so didn't task where a lodia go thursagar from. She's a greedy person and I don't know manarara things. Get 'em for. This box off candu was clear ly sentimibi me fam libutin themed it became me favor from her. A lodi whimpered uncomfortable and glared at him fiercely and strode away. Judging from the protruding blue vines on his neck was viasly really angry. Siaka exienge falaugicate dia then the same group get me. Seiji and Zane had a fight. Normally, when Hesksia for help, univerifius, but we is thesan rising from thuisto day. Facing herperbinge zipper set my lips and said with a self-deprecating smile. I was a blind before that I couldn't eventual the difference between humans and animals. Now thoughty our awake you should be worthlesses. Possible when dealing with people like him. Xiaoqixiang was confused. Isn't it just a quarrel you and Wenhor from the same village, and grew up wearing the same pants? How can Theribi grudge a thought lasts overnight? You're just bane stubborn. You feel uncomfortable with him true to Lodi well. Shetra pedant advised him. Miniato save face. Saint Ignaricia. You will have a tokra to meet night. Zany sasso thirded person. You to cover a Lodi's job. Just say a few nice words to Hyman Themeter will be over. I was raised by my grandparents. Zanis twa year solder the me and his money bersader brother. That will familius were closey and when he wei jiang he spoke without restraint and promised that tomorrow knew but me. After some discussions the merge was arranged. Noon would have a thought the talk would glimpse during that trip at the country Sid would give Zane an unforgettable first love. Even before he was still thinking of using my life-saving manabi elodai at the best burial place. After work immediately took out paper and pen and started writing Gaelater. I haven't held a pen for a long time meaned my earthworm-like handwriting. Made me throwaways a viral piece of wasp paper. In the previous life emigrants were exiled to the poorest frontier riant they to fillness in Eferinland before they could have habilitate. I am a rural woman. Only thati parents shave mata mistakes, but I don't know how to redress their grievances. In themed it was thanks to the petition submitted by me print students tati. Wasable toatental theory mains were buried in these meter yandavirion ladreest here. I spent countless sleepless nights filled with regret. It wasm a short-sightedness on diner and that prevented me prints from jetungra dresson led to their tragic death. Now I will never make semi mistake again. The student with tonight the leading writing gulter sent the previous Lifanaudiakasina High School in the capital. I sent a letter to him hopping that the could write a letter on me behalf to appeal for justice for my prints. At the same time we went to the college entrance examination registration of Facitorgister my name. Chapters itch. Those are 3 words worry enough to turn my life upside down. If the letter fails I can still go to university in the capital for the college entrance examination and take the opportunity to write again. This time he will not stay in Theramoto rural town a matter what. Thesneko is not venomous but Aladia didn't go tark for eek. Zane went to the health center very frequent line diverdia meal to me he would carry his lunchbox to her. If finished chopping firewood at the house when it hurts a kixiang shouting. Lon, Uncle Laya cooked a pot off pork for Miss Ellie tonight. It was delicious. I'd shorter than climbing toes kaito at me in the village. I'd said that this be software was distributed to Iveryon by an old hunter in the village after Hakili Dald bore. Siaka Xiang reminded me so when I arrived no town la found vermicelli and vegetables bottles of meat that sunk to the bottom. After dinner Lu Yeshua led me and said, Comrade John Comrade Genghis Gedmento telly auto got at the health center and deliver food to him. Lu Yeshua silsik known as Ludazit. Wathik no swilshurely becoming known to Iveryon. I really don't want to make things stickly. After thinking Jatover I walked in taught the health center. Brother Zingi out took sister Zangsagris Shingri. Illida was lying on the hospital bed and their weak breathing made I sound like she was dying. Don't worry about eating. Shiosiauthus. Zane health a porridgeable wit cool carefully and brought Tito Elidy's mouth. Ilidi health a porcelain spoon obediently curled her lips and said, Brother Jank the porridge with sugar so sweet. Thevelane succeeds. Zane stealing is punishable by public prostitution. Eiffel deed me arm sneered. Zane's face darkened. Uto a kahola bag of candy for Melody. You'll wear this bagafshire. What's wrong with musing 2 spoons? I were. Ilafadangro yan put the sugar jar with thelid screw it tightly and nine to me back. My grandmassant methicandi. Everyone in the dormitory was through when I opened the package. The cannel testified to this. What a booty other thing your broken mouth doy havian evidence thickendiashers. Zane's face froze. Illadibither Lipan said with tears in her eyes. Forget it, brother Zheng. I don't want the candy anymore. Don't be angry. And don't quarrel with sister Zheng because he off. Sister, you're to a month solder tham. Elodie, how do you pretend younger? These to a bastards make me cry just belooking gat them. After being scolded by Melody as fast turnet pale and tears fell. It's just 2 spoonful soft sugar. I can just compensate you. Elodia started crying and immediately became anxious. Hepel douthie crumplet change in slamita tanthatable. Take you're so disappointed in for over 2 spoonful soft sugar. Zhang sage. Before he could finishes word Zitoak out hekanch with a kick movement the thuist dumbfounded. If I had told Merlier thought you were willing to pay I would have a scoldy Alice. He put the change into me pakita and turn it a leave. Zane looked at thisem tai pelmsan belated lie roared. Leaveth the lunchboxer. Sage, are you going to starve emetodiath? Lunchboxes are priced separate lipa first if I want to yet. I woved without looking back. Zane was willing to pay just no because washer that I wouldn't accept it. Note the thought that I realized through us no way he would take out a second don. Yoris is shameless. He cursed loudly. It weighs a female equal promoted the national quintessence. His repeated words could not hurt me adel. Back in the dormitory I opened the textbooks he had batan begin to for smijolf toret. He have to work hard and to escape from the countryside to Tosa Vemaprince. For several days in a row I worked during the day and studied at night. Elodia logadam. You probably can Tevin understand the questions and the rest still dreaming about taking the college entrance exam. I read it. With only onui cleft before the college entrance examination we were resign at the job of carrying manuri up the mountain. Someone you went up the mountain to pick mushrooms last night and sold them in the black market for a full $3. On the side off to merely educate die althlu yishwa beaming with joy soya shegavi idea. How a betwetri hour looked and I tif warun into a patrol we can just strewn away. Really count mine. I want to go to. Zakixiang said excitedly. I hesitated for a long time then said. I'm going to. I'm sure tough money. I have money so I don't have to go hungry during the college entrance examination. Only if I have money can I scrape a tagathir enough money for the free to the capital. Even the fick knew that the strip would be dangerous. I have it to go to. Late at night I group off enough a secret licklimbed up the back mountain. Elodie was 3 to. As they climbed the mountain in the dark. She hid behind 18 tartamin nevirlik of her narrow fist close. When we had fill at the baskets with mushrooms and were about to turn along the road west suddenly heard loud shout. What area outgoing? Run. That patrol is coming. Luyishwa ran away. As soon as she disappeared the remaining people became like headless flies and started to wander around. I clenched my palms and when I saw the cave who pulled Elodie's backpack. The hempro peef her backpack was very loose and brocky as soon as it was spulled and the mushrooms fell all over the ground. My mushrooms! Elodie exclaimed and when she bent down to Katup she heard the roar of all beast not far away. All Borya shed forward crushing the brush and heading straight for us. In me previous life he had thixik some experience. When Thuil Borya should have Elodie you how as a theme pulled hard in me backpack causing me to fall accidentally and have emelek bitten off bethemed wild boar. If the patrolling hunter hadn't shot main time he would have almost died at the hands off to old boar. Now it's sure turn. Brothers young. Theboar's fat botic knocked to Elodie at the ground. Ignoranger Crease I followed the scratches and tree and headed down to mountain. As I went up the mountain imitasigns along thway. When iron backed out the dormitory, my eardrums swirriacking from the pounding goff me heart. I count at the mushroom sand planet to sell them at the black market tomorrow. With the hunter following Hamilida want to eat most her legs will be broken. What goes around comes around. After hiding the baskets Simeone suddenly knocked on the door. Zhang Sagittharis Alaterphoria. The village Ekif shouted. It's from the capital. There is also a package. Remember to pick it to pat the post office. Capital. I hurried listed up and when it yet tip in me mouth I realized the wash joking. I can't help but they've expectations but I'm also afraid that if my expectations are not met will be even more sad. The first thing it'd winiga themvelo puesto look at the cinder's name. Zuajwan. Not mo man dad. Feeling lonely iopinet hemvloppy and saw the fierce linof words. Kamrajang. Don't worry. Thedaker's grievance shave been vindicated. And he'll be dia tekaratin be university soon. The ira high liar spected danderera redolence during the revolution. Thestate hasalakate datatures from alibi wielding for them. Onsething surrestable. They will take you back to Beijing. Tears blur at the handwriting. I wipe at the corners off my eyes shuried libuthi tear skeptfulling and I could for a long time. The crying gradual lighter net from Sabinjinto hysteria. Finally, it burst into tears. Xiaqiuxiang. Oh, I just walk it in. Was startled Dan stroked me back and said, She's still alive. Elodie is still alive. Thuil born libitharang cleaned was scared wibit the hunter's gunshot. The PP at the health center said that I can jitao toff but after half a month though frest. She obviously misunderstood we I was screaming, but he took the opportunity to say, it's all me fault. Ilis me balancien pushed her. If the backpack ain't broken, shouldn't they've fallen behind and been caught with the wild boar. The female educate within the dormitory cambaconi after no thorand. They comforted when isam. You didn't me antedeth that. How old bescaretedeth in that situation. I wiped midian vowed. Elo dialovescan did the most. Shekin only a twithkandi. When I visit her later, I will definitely give her the holobox off candios compensation. Hearing this yakexing scratch at her head said, forget it sage. I know you mean well. But Elodie has stood a light diet during her convalescence. She can't yakandi. Of course note that I can't eat sweets while I'm recuperating. In me previous life I suffered a lot. If she really Coldia Tywilden Cinderana thing. What appity? I'll just have it to visit their Moraftenthen. It's scala to visit Butin reality it's just how a chajik. She has been pretending topsical day long. And no shies realalim. I wonder how she feels. The next day the team leader met with our group Ofijicate dialthalone. Iladia told me everything that happened last night. Behavior epiated lie stress that the back. Hilsar collective a property and private picking is prohibited. Hefron twisted leisure and kick it him in the butt. Yuri always theon causing trouble. Yuri theon who has to precedent in this time. Gowridia self-criticism and handiten within 3 days. Louis covered this but exandwailed. The captain looked at the remaining people with a stern Lucan said in a cold voice. Considering your contribution in developing the experimental field I canleth is mistake ego. There were a twojobo pinning sat themed off tementh. Those who how into pleforthums. Who de thir bestand ontelt me down. Has I nailed us to start work as an espasaba and no lato days work. The experimental field is a project that took the lead in developing. During that period, ego to proliferate carry manurian studded thegrothof crops. Theker nicultivate had plump grains. And many villagers gamatome for advice. After the experimental field was a great success he was also commended be that erector of tooth league office. In my previous life at the team leader said in person that if he hadn't broke him elect recruitment, quota would have been min. It must belodi hoin for medinus. Siakaxiangua spicking pigrason pouted. Shies on sick leave. And we have to help make up the missing work points. Otherwise, if we pay for it according to our points at the end of that year, everyone will suffer. Kamian. The female educate Douthwo Charette the same der miter complained. Given her personality and she suffers a loss he will drage were yon down with her. When the villager sheared that she was in Jarette midi a pair of crutches for her. I sighed softly. The captain said that shouldn't of our store fellow villagers. We have to worked. After finishing Thorkothand, we have to gatat the carpenter Shaustako firewood. My hand suri fulof blister shoke nickup firewood. Siakaxi and Galmos creed out loud gritted mightieth. Do as much as the ukanandil chop thirstoff tea firewood. Sage, you are a tunis. Zane is realiblend. He doesn't church the person would treat shims inkerly. And go esto haviana fair with thelity. Siakaxiang spat firesly. What hell? Ismala dandin samuk. Iwaso bizantala tat night. That I didn't even have to meeto. When they dragged their tire body aspecto thegicate dialed sight siakaxiangander friend shad just visitadelity. The crutch washed evento elity. She hasn't benign the files for eek. So her face become a cutter. There is also vanishing cream that canon liba found in the chichon bedside edible. Siakaxiangues indignant with dissatisfaction evident in her tone. And jicate die outhoded not work filed sexually hot spermanito by skincare products. It didn't drink honey water in the afternoon mithrotorture sisifa was fooling a bellows and I cuff it as soon as I open at me mouth. Well may be her family is rich. Before I cold finish me words I suddenly says in a Theodore. You did it in purpose. Themamen to riesmith a suddenly grabed Michael Loran cursed. Ilidia city you broke the rope her backpack and purposely causing hurtful behind last. Jung Sage, you shall dave of a bottom line. You keep targeting Elodie. Dantio feel guilty. He gradually tightened his grip on my neck and his nail switch were a coverette and dirt ducked into my flesh. Thine tinsa pain brought tears to mice and spoke intermittently. I didn't. Yet Zane's near. Today, everyone in yorder mitery kamata visitelity. Thia get a carpenter to make ye a cane for elity. Yorithian Leo Nuhado isn't dare to show up. Yori obviously guilty and afraid that'll will expose our hypocrisy. Yorid spicibleen shameless a villain. Huaso strong thatty facetur nedradandi almost suffocated. While struggling I tight lie grip the shovel placed against Thule. The next second eyes wink the shovel with elmistrength hand hut Zane directly on the back of head. I don't. With thegel sound oft hash hovel hitting the back of me head Zane finally released, his grip into way sublita cursely. Damn it didn't go to visit because immunata stay the carpenter shousta copwood. Elodie ways injured and cried until theerly whore soft hem morning before I fell asleep. Everyone in the dormitory can vouch for him. Exactly. Sage was screaming so hard. Siakiaxiang spoke for him. Shadith were cough through fusin dare hands were a callist. That's right. Elodie is really going topher. She actually slandered Jong Sagetof the nair. Another female educate Douthulsa complained. The glared at Zainam protected me behind them. After baying it Betheshel Zane suddenly froze in place covering the bacco fished with his shensan note moving. After a long time his body sukond Heffel straightened his back. Hey hi. Siakazi angered to help him Zane was a heavy thadito ria fusto berlu hold him up. Hecklos it at a stite liondite looked like the ruis nothing wrong with the bacco fish but they couldn't be woken up namatura tweeted. In desperation they couldn't like him the health center. Brotherjung. As soon as Hessewa melodia screamed and starred at mu threat eyes. What did you dodo brotherjung? It was speechless Andrew led my eyes. Zane started at first I was acting in self-defense. After saying the down Michael Aranshaw at the nurseth pinch marks. Hewing crazy and wanted a strangle me subconscious lie. Hit the monthly back of the head with a shoveland then heffented. Okay well she and now the results after the examination. Their sultus that Zani's finy and just need storist. Logically speaking themistai could dow at that blow wastage of Zainab up the bacco fished. But the wasina coma for 3 holidays before waking up. When we met again it was the day off the college entrance examination. At dawn I was walking on Edie Concha Road with sweet potato cakes in me pocket. The lights were demand as I crossed the deserted railway tracks I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. Wife, Fizins choice, but we're not married yet. A kill surged in tumikistandito octo steps but clutching chiliol spray in my pocket. Zane lifted up a Sharon kumid his shiny hair back. These was the hairstyle used Mustafa in his previous life, but white hair ate thetamus no black hair. Yowera born to write. There was an lie a dicest railway track between us. Yowera thion lying gonthi hospitality in your previous life. A precedent. Ifio hadn't framed a ladimabeshwood hoppen at Midtown University this year and make contributions to the country. Say Gil thof we have had or sheriof argument. Say a couple hour live shave been relatively peaceful. Happy oldage with menical dreenin grandchildren. What else can you bet is satisfied with now? Actually want tonality's life away. It's dim a turn back. Sage. Why do you do this against the loaf heaven? Ipra mizi out the to will na viral to you down in this. Fennel did healthy and epis. Now let's file marriage registration. Okay. Seeing him approaching. Eterna dandron. The harsh cold wind cut my cheeks painfully. Zane's footsteps did not stop for a moment. And Devane get closer and closer. Wiry a running Sajivio Redi agreed to marry Velsadoyoent. With that swish sound. Hitori off the strapophony side of Miss Chulbag. The besways about to arrive at the station not far away. Ido walk out Hespray and press a dighton to high's eyes. Hushru Ukrazibich. Zane let go Ipashethamo without misstrength hand dialed. Y'all have a topi even without a mirarandisty wantamaram pahayour such a fickaliman de personario worthy. Holding Miss Skullbag a jump head in Tathiapan car door. Thruff the window I Zane wiping a shist distorta with excitement. Even if I want people to jet in town university. Eladi's a natural talent. Their eyes not comparison with the Rufgaleka or Rapintha mountains. In me previous life Phyto and I the college entrance examination thesecondai ear. In Thesamura Lodi also participated. In Thindi was no Tonthalis but a Lodi was admitted to Yinjing University Beckamingthi and Legiro from the Relaria how os admitted to educate die out point. At that time Eshu was married to Esanoft Hevalage director. Zane agreed to marmu without any dowry. Vegas signed a marriage registration and stayed in the countryside because of love Diachather. It was no tuntal after Zane's death at the tiller net from his treasured letters that Zane paid for Elodius to Ishaniver Yerwashuas in college. Fourth Ashivan sold me dowry. When you arrived at the examination room, the questions were simpler than the previous year. Plus, it knew the topic for the composition, so he had already prepared a draft in my mind it wasable to ready if inspired. When he stepped off the examination room, Theski was blue. It thought nometer what the result was. As long as I had no regrets, it would be fine. After Thixamire turnet tar conduesis biz, Yasaver complete la forgetinga but the college entrance examination. During this period Iracia Vita la turfer meprinting that they were to Yingtian University and Kut Mabacto Beijing Gatanai time. Iwood gato the post office Everide, and ask with great anticipation if there were in a letters sent home. In addition to letters, Miparensels the sent me a lot of clothes. Sweetheart, themis specialite Misa Mead Leonard box. What a beautiful box. Sage, Eretheguellery I knit sent by your parents. Siakyuxiang was curious. It didn't want to reveal my parents' identities for the time being, so I just admitted. Well, that brooch me prince bought me so beautiful. After saying that till I kept the box, Illida walked in with the canyu of his jealousy in her eyes. Although Frederningto Beijing certainty steel want to know the results of the college entrance examination, so they had told until next month. Niar Theendoft Hemant when the college entrance examination results were about. Toba released the team obtained recruitment katas from Tuo Textile. Sage the team is going to Antiver Yonisto study. Siaka Xiang Putharam around my shoulder smiling. Im going back to theater mita write what cookies a snack. You go ahead with the still and remember to savi siat form. The appealing film was playing on the screen. That square was full of people. There were echo drensiting on the shoulder sofa adults. And a van group saw 3 or 4 people were sitting on the tree branches. I looked back repeatedly, but didn't see Siachio Xiang. Instead, I Zane sitting in Thestal I had prepared, holding toward lame bulls and hishans. I said her Baltia, Therieriso man appealer, Donkata heat stroke. Zane said reaching out to touch me forehead. When you first went to the countryside, you worked in the fields under the scorking soon, and it didn't say a word of when you fainted. Your mouth is sharter than Erin. Hispum was a cold thatishutteretta lover and immediate. The slap at him away. Thisis yaking siang siat. Shawankum. Zane handed Mathita Bola and said softly, Sage, Iodio in my last life, but nowhere both reborn. This is Sachens God has given a start of her. One said hey tree or rural work is over. We will go south to work. With our experience from the past life, Vul definite livable to make ye a lot of money. The moonlight washes at the Percy lame bulls. klinkadan zain drink the TNT balino negulp. After drink kinja thestar dat miaviusly waitin forma ta drinktia. Thine tonsion wasuvius ha tight me feel clumsy. Dosha really think that thee can trick maintofulin form willingly with just a few sweet words. In front of him miter net me restan poret hintire beloftian to the ground. Don't dream zain. Weekend ba husband dan wife ainerskin life. Hearing this, zain shen holding Thebaloff noodles suddenly became bulging with veins. Hestar dat me and said angrily. Zhang sagify don't accept matostiol have a todring ka forfeit. The next skin ha healthy back of me hen and was about a pressor lip stoge there. Eath I mint the vitals with mini thins wung me armin slapped heminthafis. Pa. The crisp slape of vendroned out town doft he movie. The flashlight shoni in norfacescent the anteringer armband shouted. What airy outoing? Kissin jin public doya still heavy and shame. Shuakate up quick kliger bedmira Stan said. Get up. Come with me to the thofficitimiature team leader. Yoria Ulligan in broad daylight. You were really immoral. At the scrita calmament zane smovice nothing more than an attempt tus mere my reputation and prevent me from running gain stellity. Hestianuos being gahuligamuri were resting. Ipullet miras back and said unhappily. Didn't you heart the slap there is stillard mark on me face. Isn't it obvious hatuus being gruditome? The clear 5 fingerprints in Zane's face became at the best divide and sought this moment. Yeah. The aunt looked back and fortata suspicious lion Zane spoke. Comrade, you were wrong. We did kiss. But we're not being naughty. He spoke Heslily and Callie. Where a cup leaned where going to jet the marriage certificate Zoan. Zane and her left cheek with me backhand. Now I can saboth side us office facing in a pleasing way. You are so shameless thought you can resort to such despicably means just 40-hour liver. As I say the see Luke dupendes get healed her brother on the tree branch. Comrade, please tell my full quest. You're in a high position and can see, clearly. Long before I sit down is specifically CC8 and Duratri Bakazi Hadel ready media arrangements with you big brother sin advance that theta fanyon wantetto frame would ask them to help testify. For this reason, agava themel the milk condius that I was reluctantoiet. The hava kill drenathome, and milk condi serurian good thing. Dontora the sign of fusso clear lia twas clear light hygiene man hawas being ga hooligan. That's right. You're touching gay jerwaneuisker todrin kabaloff her baltia. It's real embarrassing for his men. Catch him. Catch him. The aunt didn't expect the ruisotness. She was speechless for a moment and looked in Zane's direction. Obviously Zane gave a Hirolotov benefits in private twit callowed her to keep holding gontom. Both side shall thyron opinions and eventually the hooliganism incident was brought to the brigade secretary for resolution. Secretary Lyof te brigade do a sanu prite person. When he heard that some educate were behaving like hooligans, he immediately expressed a disintention to deal with themeter carefully. Secretary no thu holestery. Elodie was also present with secretary. Zhang Sage cheated Zanuta $50 for the betrothal gift twintutan but broachwick is still hidden under bed. Her family is from the countryside. If she hadn't swindled brother Zhang's money, how could she force such expensive ehuo reifiosin somion to search? You will definitely find it. Elodie said confidently siakixi anger toward it. You're talking nonsense. Their jewelry was clearly sent by Sage's family. Secondarily, Sage and I are from the same Humatown. When I saw her turning air back in May, I thought she might beeftermony. To prevent her from ling. I asked get her grandmother in advance. Zane took out a letter which read in black and white. No, well I've in the countryside deal lie year-round. And the supply and marketing cooperate Devito as in Seljwell Riadal. The Bruconsation must have been sent to her by Simeon Niels. The size indeed my grandmother's writing. There was note lafonine her hometown and letters were delivered slowly as knew nothing gab with her parents' current situation and naturally hodnoid. Well scaldip he must have you over in the capitaland a stoop sest with manita care about Zane. Illidi pointed at me with hair white finger and esked with hair hands on her hips. This trouble may caris twataming. Brother Jing wants to force her to get married, so he had now cois but to kiss her in public. If you'll ready receive it the betrothal gift, but how old believe me fi said I wasn't in a relationship. At such a young gageites debato do marriage fraud. Theckrod was whispering. I glanced at Elodie. Vince straightened tot the back room, and took out their box. Secretary lie the box contains my print stings. I solemnly handed the box to Hyman whispered. You will know if I am lying gorna tansia saith. If possible I hope I can keep it a secret form. Secretary Lena Deeden turn at this back to iver yon to kek thedums in the box. The momentousouth words model award. Here's a little close up the light and frowned. Comrade Tian, I can guarantee that thething sin the box are not jewel readal. They were indeed sinto comrade zang by her prince. Yorio member soft tijicate die out team. I just do neuro mind det to slender your fellow members fort say cough election. Seeing that themeter was settled the and lucres dispersed. Iladizias would end in disbelief. She was obviously unwilling to accept it. But since Secretary Lai had proven it himself, she had no way to feud it. Zon so kale betrothal gif turned out rumorant the crime hooliganism. He commit must be investigated to themed. Obviously has missed du temps the recruitment quota. After Thesho secretary lipided me on the shoulder and said seriously, Yornamai Zhang sage right good job for not bringing Shamatoyor parents. These year in La Tuo people fro more villaja past the college entrance examination and duranofdom. Calculating the time. That mission letter will arrive soon. Remember Tagatoth post office ta Pikatup. Thank you secretarially. Ithin come from the bottom of my heart. When you arrived at the post office at the receptionist thesitated when ha heard my name. A letter from Zhang Sage I remember Simiana took it away 2 days ago. I'd was the village director were brought it themself. Ha said hour busy. So had a liveretta toy order mitery for you. Village director. I suddenly remember at the tin her previous life saying Tukriat carry a Felodi but Elodi still married Wang's Haikyong Thesanoft he village director. Even after getting married Shwood Kriveratai Mesha mentioned her as Bendansha kept saying that was not worthy of her. I have tried to observe a careful eye in my life but I can't see how Wang's Haikyong with his father Dan Bajirskin Kacheladizai called it but profitable. When Iknakadant the village director's Dortha Smiley and his face frozy as soon as she saw it wasma. Village director heard thought from my admission letter. I smiled. Thank you for keeping jit form. I'm in a hurry to report now. Please return at home. Seeing that the didn't answer I continued. Secretary listed in person that time the only one in the village uho hasmedite. I've knew that didn't receive mission letter. Hemik committee you in person. Upon hearing secretary list words the village director fronted and walked back to the inner room with his steps. Then hit took out an opinate letter. For you. Has said dry slamming the door shut. After confirming that had mission letter ways intact I secretly vowed to filiacum plent with secretarially. Their recruitment quota for your group finally fellion may. Siakik seeing washapo form. Agesadai tueji long time ego. Yorathianly one inner group hogget full marks. Andual way shelpotherson private. Yorethio nuhotung lead in clearing the lane dan collecting manure in the experimental field. Yower even more aggressive at Hant the villager Swawerborn Andres Thier. Miramotin the upper bunk followed Satanda scratch had me face feelingalately embarrassed. Iwaso excite datha to meta to learn without a grove vegetables. From the team leader thinking that it would improve the fadambible to share it with the villagers. Since Agatha job affair many people have congratulated me. Obviously in theories it was about to leave the country sit early. Before leaving I left Kukias for Ultigicate, Dialth to accept to Lodi and Zane. Sajalet Stockake. In the midly off the night Zinoknak and Theodore. Every O'Neill oasisly pillowed aways in her pajamas snuggling in Zane's arms. When I watch at the movirly or leary was speaking from the heart. As longasia are willing to javethajab quote to elody. It Zito havenothing to doweth her from now, both hairbody and hartery hours. Zane brought a wood instaland drup the Lodi slex lovingly, a Lodi esfamily, Espuranerligis endured. If Shestasin the countryside Dian farms, Shawilnat servive. Sage, you're different. You have been farming golly our life. Evenifio joined the factory. You can twerk for 2 days. Why not give it the opportunity to ladies of Thefkins of Amanai Degato school? I suddenly remember at them seeing admission letter from a previous life. Elodiashuas the Onuho Tuko vermigrata Sandra Lion gaunt the fact that the village director so loved her stole at the life that should have belonged him. If he had been able to successfully study in the capital in me previous life I should have known about their habilitation or Leah ran me prince wouldn't they've. Furious I grabbed Elodia Sharon slapped her hard in the fist. Shameless then Jukanon Lyri and Mentastil with their opportunity our worthless BS off trash howdery wask meadowkit. Sage. Zane hurriedly pulled me away and I viciously pulled it a strand of felody share. You want to jib quota fine. Pay for it. Mitch's the Aviden me finger bonus cracked up and chet them. $2,000 plus 50 votes. Aslingasiao takey tout. It will give up the buffer. As for whether Elodie canvas selected, it depends in her own luck. So expensive Zhang Sagri outring Taram. Elodie exclaimed and dismiled. I feel can't afford it. Forget it. Elodie, let me tell ya. As long as that quotes in me hands, it will never tight fall in toy or hands. When footis distribute that themed off thy ear with the our major work, points him afrido. One surviveth thy seer and will starve Todiath. That's true. Before closing the door Zane's faceternet paley and he said with great disappointment. Zhang se jivnafits not for Madani Missur child datal. Nut hat littly ungrateful bastard Luke sexic lilakias father. I close at the door without the citation without Tevin looking at Elodiu how ospiting her lips and angeron thebadand covered Mijolf with a quilt. The day before I was about to start work Zane of me passbook. Exact light what house in a morno less which Wazel savings Zane's fame like could come out. After taking out out this money he was afraid the food havato starve for a while. Harry Aretha tickets, Theory Industrial tickets, food tickets, and cigar tickets. Theory area total off 100 off them. Please account the amount. His back teeth were almost broken. After I counted them carefully, I walked towards the captain in front of him. Captain, I don't want the job quonamore. Please give it to me O'Neill's. Seeing Zane winking at me frequently a pause, Dan said. Federal senator might Ariario very hardworking. If possible, I hope he can consider the more. We have done our best toner at the scope to his extent. As for Olida will manage I tight depends on her. Say Jiva told you before don't dream of think you can't get. On thoi back to thejicate die out sight Zane kept on talking. You'd rather stay in the countryside I'll leave me right. A big fool. I secret like complained. What the hell staying in the countryside miprant shavio ready prepare de la of introduction and are waiting me back to thesitito study. However it better wait until I leave before telling him the good news. That day Theski clear Jip after Thurin. Zane filed a report and said to us going to the county to get the certificate. With sage right, the village party secretary joked. All the educate dial Sari except for hair how will also got out the county tomorrow. Hearing thword soft he village party secretary. Zane's facetern dread. Looking at me how a shelping the villager sweevastraws in the lees not far away. Heno did heavily. Feeling his burning gaze lift at the hair beside my ears without knowing why. When I left the village secretary la to see me a fan told me. Go to the city and study hard and strive to contribute to the country like ye our parents. Thank you secretary. I nodded why the motion and was about to say a few words of farewell but Zane suddenly came between us and held me hand without saying anything. Sagilets got together. He looked at secretary la with full hostility and snorted coldly. Now thought he were getting married should be aware of keeping a distance from an. Having been a good wife and mother for 12 life to me should know exactly how to be good wife. What is she thinking? Ipa let me hand back in confusion and he didn't say anything until we get on the bus to the county town together. Say Jick knew would still be willing to accompany me to the marriage certificate. You are not good at studying. Ella dies. In her previous life, she was admitted to Yandi University, Thedop University in the country. Shai smart and Apolero of the country. In her previous life, her husband dragged her down. Now that she has gotten rid of the village directorson, she will definitely have a better future. I couldn't help but find it funny. Iveno has still thinks Elodius the genius how us admitted to Yandi University, and I am just an ordinary housewife. Now under Hatunai Themini Soria Dilly, it turns out that hot that Themini would return to him sooner or later. The train station is almost here. Those who Horgeton goff the train, please remember to take ye our luggage with you. Aestheticette seller called out Tislola stood up. Zanio Ararong. The admission letter from Yandane me previous life was Stalin Bielity. Iopinet Miss Chulbag and Drivia corner of admission letter. Sagenam was clearly written. Am leaving the villa Ganadajit married with the but return to the capital to with me prince. No hair work points don't count towards the shuchis for help. I like father likes and Zainta pillar of T country vi always stalked about the genius Hagan Yandi University. It's Salmonatelity. Zainsi has gradually witty ned and has to dependis belief trying to grab a corner of admission letter but I didn't give him a chance. I blended in the crowd got to curiously and looked at them through the window. The tista say it didn't need a job quota from the beginning. I eskidioto take them any biko a wedmin your past life. You wed medical expense 66666666666666666 dowry. And me whole heart had to pitanyu. Doyoria living that after Rivera thing starts over all the times you hurt mind the past can be wiped out. Jung sage. Yili tome. Yali to me from the beginning to themed. Trapident the Karzane scream medmedly and de put me hands to me out hand shout at them from strength. Zanio deserved it. Draymon. Ultimately we're into opposite directions. It took the train to Yanshan while had to return to the township in a dejected state. I think the new Safi's wishful thinking to the certificate will soon spread throughout Hijikate die outside. These will be Black Martha Thuil Neverbibel Toares. As long as stays in the countryside of Farana Morde. He will be nailed toth Polero shame Farana Morde. Many years later Irternete in Ching University and became a professor. Zane's facienthinus. At this moment the Isol Radio wanted criminal. Ida said that the Colette this newlywed wife because she had an affair with her lover. There was a venividially oct on Lanav him stabbing ease wifing times. Fumin lying in a pull off blood was elity. Zana Tura Likud note escapeth a pursuit. Just 3 days later, Huay's arrested beat the Policethatal station off Metropolitan Expressway. Hua still mootering the Tisufos waiting for Madam. It's so funny he's wifey subvias lighted. Hua skilled be his own hands. What a farce. This is me evaluation.